Hi, my name is Alva, and welcome back to another writing vlog update thingy where I don't really talk about writing, but everything else. It's been 2 weeks since my last and first YouTube video ever. I wanted to make another one sooner, but that obviously hasn't happened, partly because of life and partly because there were construction noises outside. And also partly because I don't really know what I'm doing on YouTube yet. But I want to just sit down and talk and give you a small update. There has been a few minor changes and a few minor milestones regarding both my book and building a platform. And I think this is what the channel will mostly become as of now. A very low pressure author diary in a way, because I don't really have tutorials. I don't have anything to sell you. I can't be like how to build an author platform in 10 steps because I don't have 10 steps, at least not yet. But still, I hope this might be interesting to someone else. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who watched and liked and commented on my last video. I was not expecting anyone to see it apart from like one person. It was a nice surprise, basically. And it made me sort of hopeful for my book in a way. And I don't know if this makes any sense, but I consider myself a literate person. Like, I read a lot of books. But sometimes when I go to like the library or the bookstore, or especially when I see like recommendation lists on social media for like this one particular genre that I'm super interested in, and it just contains like 20 books I've never even heard of, I get sort of like overwhelmed with just how many books are published every year and like how many books there exists as a whole. And it makes me sort of like, why would anyone ever find my book and read my book? Why should my book be any different from all of these other books that I had never heard of? And then you sort of compare it to like how many YouTube videos are published every day. And still, some people found mine. But one thing I realized after making the last video is that I don't really think of this as creating content. These longer videos on YouTube are just rambling. I know it technically is content, like everything is content. I'm filming it, I'm editing it, I'm putting it online, and that is content. But mentally, I'm treating this more as a diary. Because if I start thinking too much about strategy or hooks or everything else that's I'm already starting to think of even subconsciously for the other platforms, the threshold gets too big to create anything for YouTube, and I don't want that. So the deal I'm trying to make with myself is that this can stay sort of low pressure and low value, if that makes sense. Because I mentioned last time that I was going to do this faceless, that I would be like this mysterious author persona hiding behind a pen name and a monogram and not showing my face, and not really because I'm worried about protecting my identity in any way, but more like I didn't feel like I matched the vibe of my book, and I'm having a bit of an identity crisis, both, I don't know, fashion-wise, style-wise, because my book falls under the gothic genre, and technically that has nothing to do with like the gothic fashion style, but of course that's where your mind goes. And I see like a lot of the other authors writing in this genre, like horror, writing in this genre of gothic and dark fantasy, they look the part. And I feel like I don't. For context, the book I'm writing is called Gallowcraft, and it is, at least I think it falls under the gothic category. It's also historical fantasy because it's set very much in like a world similar to ours, just, in the early 1700s. So at the end of the height of the last witch craze, the trials, and before the golden age of piracy. So it's like witches and pirates. And I've also run into some difficulties trying to market this book, because when I say I'm writing a book about witches and pirates, your mind goes to certain franchises immediately. And I don't want to be like, I'm writing a book about witches and pirates, but like it's more mature than what you're thinking, because at the same time it's not. Like, there are mature themes in a lot of the specific medias that people think about, but at the same time it's darker and grittier than the Disney versions of witches and pirates. And I can't really say that they're historically accurate either. Like the pirates, maybe mostly, but it is a historical fantasy, so there are fantasy elements. There is a version of magic, even if it's not, super flashy. It's still very much present. As of now, I have posted every day on TikTok for over a month, and I'm trying to do the same thing on Instagram. And I think I've seen like a lot of the official advice being that you should aim to just post like maybe 3 to 5 times a week in the beginning, so you don't risk burnout. And for me, that's I haven't been officially diagnosed with ADHD, but I have been tested, so take that as you will. And for me, it's easier to do a thing every day than trying to do it every other day. I don't know why it is like this, but I know how I work. So for me, having a goal of posting every day keeps me accountable, but every other day, I so quickly become like, oh, okay, I didn't post yesterday. Okay, I didn't post today, but I'll post tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'll be like, ah, who cares? Another day off. Instagram has actually been better for me lately once I figured out, I won't say I figured out the algorithm because no one knows what the algorithms are doing, but I figured out what posts and formats work better on Instagram than on TikTok. And I thought I had figured out TikTok, but my views are like constantly stalling at 3 to 400. And it might be my niche, it might be that I'm landlocked. My content gets pushed out to the UK, but never to the US. And I'm writing for an English speaking market. So, of course, that is, limiting me. And it might just be the hooks I'm using aren't interested. But still, as long as I'm having fun, it's what matters. And on Instagram, I actually had a couple of videos not go viral, not at all. And these are probably small numbers to everyone who does this seriously, but they have at least reached the thousands, which I haven't really achieved on TikTok. So I have almost 300 followers now on Instagram, and it's been fun. I post like short stuff and mood boards, tidbits from a book, and occasionally my opinion about things. I don't really want to have discourse, but at the same time, I want to open for conversations. I'm trying to find, like, this balance there too. I just wanted to give a quick update also regarding the book because I am very much writing it. I'm trying to write every day. My word count is not always amazing, but I have hit over 40,000 words for what is the first draft. Except those 40,000 words are really polished. I have to say that they are not like first draft. And I am actively trying to force myself to just write messily because I know there will be changes. I wrote a zero draft, which I wrote 100% on this old-fashioned typewriter, and so much has changed between like this zero draft and the first draft I'm writing now, like almost all the names, settings, even the year it takes place. And I'm very much of a pantser, in the writing community, those who doesn't plot. And I have like this general idea of where I'm going. I have this direction, but I don't know everything that happens or how they will get there. And part of the joy of writing is discovering that myself. If I outline too tightly, I don't want to write the book because like everything is already solved. Writing it just feels like a chore. But if I'm, discovering as I'm writing, I'm more motivated to write, basically. With doing this, I know there will be structural edits coming in the second or third draft. And I'm worrying so much, about phrasings and sentence structure, what words to use, when I should just be getting everything down like the bare bones and then go back and edit and make it pretty. So I actually posted a short video yesterday asking for advice, and people have delivered. There are some really unhinged ways to ensure that you stop yourself from editing, and I'm going to try some of them. Not right now because I'm going on vacation soon, so I'm not sure how much time we'll have to write, but definitely when I get back, I will, implement one of them. One of the advice I got, which I'm most excited about because I think that will work for me personally, is to, whenever you finish a scene or a chapter, you print it out. And that is the locked version. So you can't go back and edit in the manuscript, your digital manuscript, because then it won't match the one you have printed. And I think that will really work for me. I like to edit, analog or on paper anyway. So having it printed already makes sense. And it also will keep me from going back. And that sort of matches the typewriter, what I did with the typewriter, because there's no backspace on the typewriter. So I just had to like go in with a pen after and like add, this will happen here, or like add reference to something, which will then have to be taken in the second round of revision. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to allow myself to finish the current scene I'm writing, perfectly. And then every scene after that, I will just, rush through it to get the bare bones down. And I'm having a lot of fun. My word count is going insane though. I wrote a 6,500 word scene. It's actually closer to 7,000 words now. That is just one conversation, like the first real conversation between the FMC and the MMC. There's some like hand flirting, and mostly it's just talking. So I know I will have to cut stuff also during my second round of editing, which is why it doesn't make sense to spend so much time trying to make it perfect on the first round. So yeah, the printing thing is the first thing I'll try. And then there was also this advice to, have a little printed editor and that I put in jail. Like they use this paperclip, but like, okay, the editor is in jail and you're now currently in writing mode. And then another one said like you have to just keep telling yourself we'll fix it in post. And I'm tempted to like find artwork or even create artwork and like hang it on the wall behind my screen when I write. So I just can have it in mind all the time, like we'll fix it in post, we'll fix it in post, because you can fix it in post. So that is like no one is going to read your first draft unless you force it upon them, which I sometimes do. And I'm trying to bring this first draft mentality to building this author platform too. Because when I started on TikTok and Instagram, I went looking for, author accounts that had the same vibe as I was going for and who seemed to like be doing okay follower and engagement wise. And I scrolled all the way down to the bottom and tried to find like what was their first post. I was so stressed about my first post, both on TikTok and Instagram. Everyone was telling me that, okay, you have to train your algorithm, you have to be super specific, you have to find your niche. So TikTok and Instagram will know where to push you. So I was stressed so much about this first post, and I checked these other authors and I scrolled all the way to the bottom and tried to find, what was their first post? How did they establish themselves? And I found, what is the first visible post, but I quickly realized that no way was that their first post on Instagram, on TikTok. And it occurred to me that people are obviously archiving or removing the older stuff that maybe doesn't match their aesthetic or is that they don't want to be public for any sort of reason. And I can do that too. I'm not sure if I want to. Like, I want to keep like the cringy stuff because at least for now, it gives me an idea of how far I've come. Like the first face showing TikTok I posted was, I'm not saying it's super bad or anything, but it wasn't good. And I like looking at it just like, okay, I feel like I know a little bit more what I'm doing now, and I'm feeling a little less cringe when I'm doing it. And I am fully admitting that I don't know what I'm doing here on YouTube. This might just be writing vlogs, it might be, I don't know, research info dumps, but I'm not a historian. So there are like for every topic that I researched, there are people who can explain it way better than I can. So maybe just sit down updates, author diaries. I really want to talk about the process of self-publishing when I get that far, but so far I'm just, focusing on getting the book done. And I also consider doing writing sprints, but then again, I'm a little bit time zone challenged, so I'm not sure how that would work. And also, I don't really have a clear aesthetic. Like I said in the beginning, I'm having a little bit of an identity crisis regarding my personal style versus the vibes of the book. And like you can see in my office, it's very much not goth. That is not the vibe you're getting. So like the concept would have to be like join me for the least aesthetic writing sprint ever, and like why would you bother? So I don't know yet. I'm open to suggestions too, and but honestly, I want to keep it low production because I know I can learn every trick of the trade if I want to. I can learn all the editing hacks and I can invest in equipment to make like better videos and stuff, but that's not where I want to spend my time or money right now. This is not an attempt to become an influencer. This is just me documenting and getting the chance to yap and practice my editing skills. So that is the update. I made one YouTube video where I rambled on for X amount of minutes, and now I'm making another YouTube video where I'm rambling on for another X amount of minutes. We'll have to see how much I can cut to make this. I've been talking for a while. So in the meantime, if you want to follow me on TikTok or Instagram, please do. And please let me know if you came from here because that would be super cool. Feeling a little bit guilty because YouTube is the one platform where I haven't really engaged with other people's content. I haven't really been following anyone else's channels. So I'm trying to, hopefully now that I'm going vacation, I can like carve out some time just to watch YouTube videos because I usually really enjoy watching these kind of videos from other people. So yeah, that is the update. I am still writing my book. I am still hoping to self-publish it. I am still slowly but steadily trying to build an author platform. It's probably not the right way to do it, but it is the only way I can do it. If you want to follow along in this journey, I would love to have you here. And if you're in the same position as me, you're a writer, writing a book, or self-publishing, or also trying to be online before you feel ready, please let me know so I can go follow you. I want to keep up with other people's journeys too because it's really inspiring, basically. It's motivating. And that's about it. Bye!